Alright, hello, welcome. My name's Shaina. I'm an astrologer, but today I'm doing a little bit more than just astrology. I'm doing another one of my healing sessions, which is just basically a combination of all the medical physical things, tarot, astrology, pendulums, crystals, energy healing, just everything kind of naturopathic, all that sort of stuff. I've done a few of these already. I'll link my little playlist in the cards up here. But today the topic is kind of going off of the previous video, and it's all about grief, healing grief, and specifically using the tarot. We're going to get some messages from your passed on loved ones. Now, I just wanted to preface that this could be anybody that's passed on, a relative, family member, friend, even like a pet, doesn't matter. But this is specifically about beings that have passed on. So if you're coming here wondering why your ex isn't contacting you, there's a billion channels out there all about messages from them, and you can just go on over there. If you would like to book a reading from me, I sell astrological readings and tarot readings on my website, shainaemily.com. I also have a TikTok that I've been uploading really frequently on, surprisingly enough. That's at shaina.emily, and I have a personal Instagram. I did lose my mother about 4 years ago. It's actually her birthday at the end of this month if you want to wish her a happy birthday. I did a video more talking about that, and I'll link that in the cards up here, about my progressed Scorpio moon experience. And I will say, even though it was 4 years ago, it definitely still feels like it was just yesterday in a lot of ways, and it definitely is something that is still really hard for me to get over, and I'm always searching for signs and messages in my daily life about her. So this is coming from a place of understanding and a place of a lot of empathy. So I have 3 piles today, and I normally do them based off of the tarot deck, but actually today I'm going to do them based off of these little planetary essential oils that are from Psychic Guide that I really like. So for the first pile, we have the Neptune planetary oil. For the second pile, we have this Venus planetary oil. And for the third pile, we have this Jupiter planetary oil. So if you know anything about the planets, you can pick it based off of that. You can just pick whatever resonates, or you could do what my favorite thing is, which is to put it into a random number generator and just go with whatever pile it picks for you. Sometimes you don't have to put as much thought in it as you think you need to. All right, so let's go into pile 1. All right, hello, welcome, pile 1, to your reading healing session. Tap into what the messages are from your past loved one. So actually the tarot for this pile is the Occult Tarot. Looks like this. This is a decently new deck to me. I've only used it a few times. I got it pretty recently. It's funny that I said that because I kind of instantly got the feeling that this is the pile that the loss feels the newest. Even if it didn't just happen, I feel like actually for most people it did just happen. But even if it didn't, I think that it feels still like it just did. All right, so weirdly enough, there was a card sitting here that obviously really wants to come out. So this is the 4 of Wands, and I'll read what it says here. It says, these basically with this Occult Tarot, how it is there's basically a little demon, and it kind of tells you like what it does, what it's for, and it kind of associates it to the tarot card. So this says, it's like this lion female with a trumpet, and I mean, I guess it's a male, but to me it kind of looks like the body of a female. I'll show you here. And it says, knows all things hidden, answers truly about things earthly or divine. So in the traditional tarot deck, the 4 of Wands is a very positive, celebration, joyous time, which is really interesting coming from the fact that this is like a healing grief session. So I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind. Maybe this is something that the person's telling you that this shouldn't be something that you should be so upset about and sad about. And this is something that you should actually be celebrating their life, be thinking about their life very positively. Don't dwell on the negative stuff that might have happened leading up to their death. Only dwell on the parts that you love about them or the parts that they loved about you. And I think it's also talking about keeping their spirit alive. I think that in this group, it feels like this person has a very positive and celebratory view of life, maybe very optimistic. Okay, now this is the card that I want to draw. All right, excuse that cut. This is a side note, but these videos feel really cursed anytime I do these healing sessions. Just in my personal life, it's like whenever I film them, It's just, there's always some conflict that's happening externally, and I don't know why. I wonder if it's just because whenever somebody comes to a tarot reading, they're obviously in a really hard state. Like, you know, a more serious tarot reading, like especially the last few that I've done have all been pretty serious, and maybe it just has to do with that energy. I'm not sure, but this pile's seeming more positive, like the person just wants to send you positive, loving thoughts. I think they just want you to, yeah, they just really want you to celebrate and not dwell. Focus more on the positive things that have come from them being in your life rather than the negative things that have now come from them being gone, you know? I think they want you to appreciate them too. So you chose the Neptune oil, which makes me think that this person is like really a guardian angel for you. I will say at the beginning it seemed like this was like a new passing, or this just happened or something. So maybe this is like a spirit guide that you're just discovering, or a person that you're, you know, I think it just happened recently and you're going, and you know what, if you're planning, if this did happen recently and you're planning a funeral for them, I would say that they definitely would rather prefer a celebration of life. They definitely would rather have something more positive, more celebratory, and maybe even less traditional. You know, we have this Neptune oil here, so this makes me think that this is somebody really just kind of like untraditionally spiritual, and that they want you to know that they're around you and they're protecting you, and now that they've passed on, they're protecting you in ways that they couldn't when they were here, so they're helping you even more. And also I feel like this was a really helpful person in your life, and so they're wanting to tell you like they loved being that for you and that they want to continue. So we got Pluto. So this was probably definitely a really intense loss. You had a really, really close bond with them. Okay. And actually you had a really amazing positive bond. This Pluto is not, I would not say is that negative. I think just if anything, you're feeling heartbroken about this loss for sure. In the sky right now, the Pluto is in Aquarius retrograde at 2 degrees. If you want to know, you know, where your Pluto transit falls probably has a lot to do with this. Maybe you're going through a really extreme Pluto transit and this death is closely linked. If you want to watch my video about Pluto through the houses, this is not me trying to advertise. This is just me saying like that might be really relevant to you. And since I happen to have that video up, I just wanted to offer it. All right, so yes, and it's like, it's in a grand trine. It's actually in the middle of a kite pattern in the chart right now, and it's trine a lot of things. It's trine the ascendant, trine Jupiter, sextile Mars, sextile Neptune, and it's square Venus. So why it's square Venus makes me think that you're heartbroken and you miss this person, you miss this person's love, and they were super duper important to you. This might have even been a close partner, even like a pet that felt like a soulmate to you, and I think you're just really missing them. But this is actually a thing that you can really grow from, find more about yourself from. For some reason, I'm getting the message that it was like they needed to go for you to grow, which is really interesting. So the other card that kind of came out was the Wheel of Fortune, which in the tarot is just all about taking things as they come. I think this might have been a little bit of a surprise, a little bit of a shock that this person was lost in your life. Maybe you weren't expecting it, or maybe you thought they had a little bit more time, or maybe it was just kind of like a sudden thing. On this it says, Valak or Volek tells where treasures are hidden, reveals hidden dangers. That makes me think again of like the guardian angel thing. So trusting in the ups and downs of life. Also, Wheel of Fortune always says that, you know, what goes up must come down and what goes down must come up. So even if this is a time where you're having a lot of trouble, and this is like a downtime, it must come up, and it will come up. And this person that you're thinking of is going to be a big reason why. But that come up might be a little bit different than you expect, and they want you to accept it and take it and trust it. I hope that you, well, what they're saying is like, I hope that you trust in life more and things that come, because maybe you were somebody that had a lot of trouble accepting things and trusting in things, and you wanted to control everything, you know, Pluto in the 5th house especially, and you kind of need to give that up a little bit more, and that's like a big lesson that they're trying to teach you, and that's like kind of what's supposed to teach you moving forward in your relationship with them, because even when somebody's passed, you still have a relationship with them. That relationship is still ongoing. You know, just because someone passes doesn't mean you have to stop talking about them, or you stop thinking about them, or you stop telling them things. None of that's true at all. Always keep that person alive and all that sort of stuff. And I will say that this person doesn't even need that. I think they have a very minimal ego, and that was the thing that you saw so beautiful in them. And I think they actually saw that back in you. You are just more self-conscious of it, I think, a little bit. Now let's see what this other card is that kind of fell out when I was just moving the cards a second ago. We have the Seven of Wands, Glaciolabolus. Oh my gosh. But yes, here's this figure. It's like a winged figure as well. All these figures are like, oh, actually these two figures are riding something, and this one is this itself. Okay. So it says, causes murder and bloodshed. Maybe this was like a really harsh death. Tells of things to come. If you can see my dog, sorry, I'm gonna let them hang out. Causes the love of friends or enemies, and can make one invisible. So the Seven of Wands, you might feel like they're telling you, their message that they want you to hear is stop fighting everything so hard. Stop fighting back so hard. You know how it says causes murder and bloodshed? I think maybe what it's actually saying is like, they're telling you to like chill out. Stop constantly fighting. Stop feeling like you're needing to defend yourself. Stop feeling like you're on the attack all the time when you're not. And that you just, again, I think a lot of it comes from this place of just needing to accept things as they come. All right, let's go to this messages little thing. So I have this little journal. You're familiar with this if you watched my last one, where I just kind of like wrote down little quotes. So let's get a little message, a little quote from them. They just said yes. They said yes and yes. So this is weirdly a really positive reading. And this is weirdly like, I don't think that they are sad about their passing at all. I think they're actually, if they were being genuine, they'd be actually really comfortable with it. And they want you to get comfortable with it as well. They love you very much, and they were over this here earth thing. Okay, it was not for them after a while. Like, they had outgrown it. And you knew that too. They outgrew it. They were kind of better than it. And it just wasn't necessary for them to be here. They just didn't feel like they would learn or grow anymore. And that was a lot of the heart of it. And now it's time for you to focus on yourself and learn and grow and make yourself proud, and not be so concerned about making them so proud, because they already are proud of you. They already love you, and they think highly of you very much. I think also you might be in your real life pretending like this is easier for you to deal with than it is. I think you're going through a real inner, because it's Pluto retrograde here, it's a real inner transformation. And with that Aquarius, I think there's some detachment. So I think you're trying to seem okay with it, but the reality is that you're having a lot more trouble with it than you'd like to admit. And I think that's why you came to this reading potentially. That's why you're still thinking about this person. And I think that actually they want to tell you that however you handle it is how you handle it, and you're handling it better than you think you are. And just don't be so obsessed with going through, is it like the 9 stages of grief? Like, you have to remember that that was written by a human that went through grief and probably plotted it, and then reflects that towards everyone else, if that makes sense. So, like, yes, the stages of grief are true, but they're going to look different for you. They're going to be in a different order, and you never fully go from the beginning to the middle to the end with grief. You're always just kind of somehow floating in the nebulous center, right? The nebulous center of a circle. You're just kind of going around, feeling each thing a little bit more here, a little bit more there, a little bit more there, a little bit more here kind of situation. Let's, let me see here. They really like scent. So let's light an incense. They actually really, you should make sure that you go through their things. And they have a lot of things that they really love, that's really sentimental to them, that they hold near and dear. And they have a few things that they would like to show you amongst their things, if that makes sense. Like, when I lost my mom, I've been trying to keep this little hush-hush because I don't want the rest of my family to find out. But I found something of hers that was very special to her, obviously, and that had just kind of like popped up out of nowhere. I was like, that was never there the night before. How did this get here, And it was something really personal and private to hers that I didn't even know existed. But it's just it's the most special thing ever. It's so much more than just items. They're so personal, and they speak so much to her, and they make me feel so connected to her. And there might be an item of this person's that they want to make sure that you have, that's in the right hands, that is in the right possession, that's properly appreciated, and they think that you'll really appreciate it and take care of it. Maybe right now the wrong person has it, or it's been looked past or looked over, or maybe it's saying, like, if this is a death that happened recently, they want to say, intention. These are incense, but they're like little tarot incense. Wait, what was I saying? Well, my intention's been lost. They want to say, if this is yes. So basically they want to say, if this is a new death, make sure that you are there when their items are being gone through. Now that was something for me when my mom passed, was like, it was really important to me to get certain things, and I have so many regrets of things I don't have. It was super important to me, and like the main priority in my life for a while, to have the things that I do have. And I honestly wish, you get really self-conscious because you feel like you're hoarding items, but you have to remember that that when that person passes, those are the last items that they're ever going to have. They're not going to get new ones ever in your whole life. And so it's not the time, in my opinion, to be a Scorpio about it and just throw everything away or be detached and be like, I don't need this. Not saying that you need to keep everything, and I think it's bad to keep things as they were. That's a little unhealthy for obvious reasons, but to kind of incorporate them into your life, place value to them, know that their spirit is in those things. Things don't have to be as surface level as we treat them nowadays. It's not just all consumerism. I am very sentimental towards stuff, and I don't think it's that they were sentimental towards things. It was more that they just have things that are so special to them that they want to make sure goes into the right hands, and they think your hands are the right hands. All right, so let's light this incense. Let's see. This person had a lot of energy. This person was a very energetic, fiery, passionate, very surprising person. Keeps you on your toes. I think I only have this giant lighter. We can all laugh together. Yeah, they're just a little bit weird. They're a little bit spontaneous. I definitely think that some people might have thought they were a little cuckoo, but I don't think you ever did. I think you always really understood where that person was coming from. It almost feels like you felt like this. I think even if this person wasn't your friend, even if they were like a partner or a family member or a pet, like, and they weren't just like a friend, your guys' friendship was what was so strong, actually, and what kept you guys so close together, and what kept you guys so connected was like the base level friendship you guys had with each other. Let me draw one more card. One little final message from them. Okay, well, actually two, because that card wants to come out, so I'll draw two. I'm drawing this from, I should show you my Moon Witch Oracle, which I love this deck. They're saying, don't cry so much. I'm still around. I'm still here. I haven't even gone that far. All right. We have... movement. Inspiration is drawn to motion. So they're saying, don't become stagnant because of this. Grow from it, move, change, allow those changes to take place. Maybe you felt like you had to live in a certain place because of this person, or you had to have a certain job or certain responsibility or this or that because of this person. And it's not saying that in a negative way. I don't think you minded that. I'm not like that. But now it's saying, like, this is your time to move, grow, be free, and, Wands energy, attack it like I used to. Attack it when I had all my vitality and spirit. Let that go on to you. Let that be passed down to you. And then we also have Balsamic Moon. Things come and go. Surrender to the universe. So there you go, exactly. This is like, I'm pretty sure the last moon phase before the new moon. This reading is kind of like that last ending little passage thing of being like, it's almost like they're saying like, stop sulking. Get up and go. You have the rest of your life to think about me. You have the rest of your life to remember me. There's no sore feelings here. I love you, and I just want you to get up and move on and attack what you want in your life head first and head on, and I'll be around you, giving you signs, protecting you, kind of leading you the way, but you just have to trust that the lessons that come are there for a reason, the things that come are there for a reason, and that I am now guiding you in the right way. Before, I don't think you had anybody, maybe you felt like you didn't have anybody kind of to assist you on the spiritual plane, or if you did, maybe, you know, you weren't their first priority, I almost want to say, kind of situation, or however you want to take that. But I think that now you have somebody that's very much like, they're even more present with you than they were before. They're able to be with you in ways that they weren't able to be with you before. And it's not weird. It's not this or that. It's different. But they're just wanting you to know this is for the better. This feels like so positive. It's just about you stop fighting this and fighting yourself and fight the outside world. Like, go, you know, have like, I'm ready, bring it on kind of attack with the outside world, especially if you're wanting to do anything creative, if you're wanting to take this energy and turn it into something creative, channel it, all that kind of stuff. Now is the time to do that. So I always like to end the readings with just a little bit of energy work, just to kind of get a touch base with you. I usually do like head over here, feet down here. So let's check in. This feels very rooted around the root chakra. It feels like this really affected your sense of stability. Again, I really don't think this was something you're expecting, and I think this still feels very new, but I really think it is actually pretty new, as even in the grand scheme of things. And I think this just really took you off base and made you think that, wow, like, how do I put this? There's no security in this world. There's no safety. There's no, because again, I think this was like a kind of thing, you know? And yeah, I think it's just really messed up with your base. And I feel like most of your other chakras are in line, except for you're dealing with some, you've always dealt with some confidence issues, some insecurity issues, but that's not coming from this. The root chakra shift up is definitely what's coming from this. Yeah, and there's like weight in your feet too, but not as much because you're not feeling steady, you're not feeling stable. It's just like, I think you're maybe like sitting down all the time. So let's try to clear some of this actually. There's just a lot of like heaviness here. It's not even negative. It's just really heavy. Like maybe you haven't wanted to leave your house since this happened. Maybe you've really gone into like hermit mode and all that sort of stuff. Maybe you've gotten into a lot of fights on the internet. I don't know why that came up. Maybe there have been fights with your family because of it. Maybe you've just been lashing out in different ways because of it. But I feel like the energy wants to cooperate. It just doesn't know how to. There's like a lot of excess energy here. You have been sitting around a lot, and I think that this person's really tired of it. And if they're ashamed of anything that you're doing, it's the fact that you're sitting around and not taking action. That's what they're most frustrated about. They're like, this is the time to go. You have more support than you've ever had ever. So just go and don't look back and make some mistakes and trip and fall. But for some reason, there's some shakiness that is not trusting that. So let's steady that out. I've always felt like this is a very grounding stone. It's very accepting to the energy. You're very accepting to the energy in general, which makes sense because this was the pile that chose Neptune as their planetary oil. Yeah, they just want you to connect with them, be open to connecting with them. They're trying to connect with you, but sometimes you doubt it, sometimes you don't trust it, sometimes you don't listen to it, accept it. I think it's more that you just don't trust it. This is me saying, like, no, what you're seeing is connected to them. Don't judge it so much. But they're also saying they're also saying that you know their voice, you know their tone, you know who they actually are. They feel like you're letting, like, almost some, like, demons, for lack of a better term, like, get in your ear that you know is not them. Like, I think, like, you're letting yourself say what you want to hear from them, which is just them scolding you. And they have no actual want to scold you. They really just want you to understand and accept, kind of, which for some reason is, I think, harder for you. All right, let's end this by getting one more final message from this little booklet from them. Just something to think about, something to stew on. They say, but okay, before you say it, Shaina, don't take this so offensively. This says, some people make fun of me. How enjoyable. So I think they definitely have a really sassy attitude, and they want you to have that too. So some people make fun of you. So some people joke at you at your expense. So some people think you're weird. So some people think they're weird. People will always think that this person was weirder than you ever will be, like in a good or bad way. So, like, just let it go. You know what I mean? Just let it go. And enjoy it, revel in it. If people think you're weird, maybe you're also uncomfortable with disclosing to people how close to them you feel spiritually, or like any of this woo-woo stuff. Maybe you feel even uncomfortable about accepting this reading or something. But you know, some people make fun of you, some people make fun of them, some people even make fun of me, of course. And you know what? Find it enjoyable. Just say fuck it. You know, Wheel of Fortune, 4 of Wands. This is positive stuff going on here. This is a really beautiful reading. And I think that you just need to look ahead with full plutonic force. Definitely do your passion project, focus on your creativity, focus on expressing yourself in weird and wild ways. Oh, that makes sense. Pluto is in Aquarius. That makes sense. So yeah, you've got a lot of natural talent. The only thing that's stopping you is this heartbreak, but instead of letting it stop you, use it. Okay, use it to your advantage. Okay. All right, thank you so much, pile 1. This was such a beautiful reading. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that it resonated. And I do sell full-length readings on my website, shainaemily.com, if you're interested. But no matter what, thank you for being here and for supporting me and watching this reading and hopefully accepting some of the message. And thank you to the person that's passed on. That's allowed me to kind of tap into what they want to tell you, their kind of messages and their kind of energy. Thank you. That's very kind to them. All right. Bye. Hello and welcome, pile 2. You guys chose the Venus planetary oil, which does make me think that this is probably more of a relationship pile, more of a pile of somebody that you were in love with or was once in love with, or it's somebody that was really, really close to you that you had a lot of love between, like a family member or a really close sibling, something like that. Whoever it is, this person was incredibly important to you, which is really hard. I will say that I immediately felt the most weight upon any of the piles. I felt kind of on this pile, and I'm getting the word regret, which I wasn't expecting. I was actually expecting this pile to be the more positive and like flowy and free one, just because I did choose the most kind of like whimsical deck 4, which is this Tarot of a Moon Garden deck, which I love this deck. But for some reason I'm actually getting that this is a very heavy pile. So let's start with, this is my planetary die. We're gonna roll a sign, an astrological sign, and wherever that's placed in the chart right now, kind of like horary astrology, kind of go based off of that. So we have Sagittarius. All right. Okay, so there's nothing in Sagittarius other than the 3rd house, and For some reason, I think this person's being really secretive about who they are, and they don't want to, maybe you don't want to expose the relationship yet. They don't want to expose themselves to me yet. But maybe they used a lot of positive words, positive affirmations, positive ways of thinking to kind of get the person off of how much they were hurting, how serious they felt about you as well. And maybe them passing felt a lot like them running away. And it felt a lot like they thought that this was like what they needed to do for some reason. Like they thought this was in their best interest, in their higher power interest and all that sort of stuff. But they were almost a little bit avoiding something and avoiding some truth. And they might have even dumped some really serious things about your community, your neighborhood, your siblings, your inner family, or their siblings, community, all that sort of stuff onto you right before they passed. And that might have been, it's getting darker. Like literally the lighting just changed. That might have been something that they like said that and almost like ran. And that's been really hard for you to get past, because they left on like a very weird note in your guys' relationship. Like you guys almost, like it feels like this pile, like it really felt like this pile was gone too soon. The Seven of Pentacles. Let me get 3 cards for past, present, and future. Justice. I'll show you them. Let me just pull them first. And I actually need to draw an oracle card as well with this pile. The Nine of Cups. This pile is really, really hurting. I think this pile, both sides have a lot of regrets. Both sides wish that they were a little bit more mature and to handle the situation, and they really wanted you to listen to this reading because they want to say things that they weren't able to say. They would have never been able to say, no matter how long they were around. It was just not in their ability in this life, and they needed to pass on for themselves more than anything to be able to grow. And it's almost like in this lifetime, they're, how do I put this? It's almost like in this lifetime, their sense of self and their sense of duty and just their general makeup, maybe it's their birth chart, whatever you want to call it, did not allow them to evolve past where they were. Even though they were fully aware of that, it still felt like they were stuck and couldn't do anything about it. Yeah, so, all right, the first card we have in the past position, we have the Seven of Pentacles. I think this person used really big, used whimsy, fairy, look at the backs of these cards, it's very whimsy goth thing. They used a lot of light imagery, light words in their life to try to pretend that everything was always fine, the situation was always okay. And you know what I noticed is that with this chart, I know we're not focusing on the rising, but the rising just changed to Libra, and for some reason I made such a note of that. So I'm not saying that they are a Libra rising. Maybe you should check where Libra is in their chart, because that was actually a really prominent place. Even if there's a lack of Libra, that was prominent. If Libra's in a house, that house was more prominent than you think. Whatever it might be. I think that they actually try to tie everything up in a nice bow, when in reality, I would guess that they had a really light, bright rising, and yet their moon was probably a lot darker or having a lot more trouble. Or maybe they have a moon in their 3rd house and they had a really tortured mind or something like that, tortured emotional mind, more than you would expect. So in the past position, it's the Seven of Pentacles, and to me, I think that they did accomplish a lot in their life, but they were never satisfied. They never thought it was enough, and they don't want you to feel the same way. that was something that they really passed on to you, was like to work really hard. And I think they even like passed on their insecurities onto you. I think this was somebody you spent a lot of personal time with. Like, you had to have lived with this person for a while and really thought that you knew them, but you didn't. And a lot of that was because they never taught you how to get to know someone, especially never taught you how to get to know them. And that was on purpose. They always wanted that distance for some reason. It's like they put a lot of work into the relationship, and they did put a lot of effort and even maybe like financial help and love and attention. It's getting darker again, all that kind of stuff, but they didn't try. It's like they could never complete things. They could never get it to that finish line. It was kind of stuck at a really plentiful place, but for some reason they were always very, I'm trying to think of that word, almost like apathetic towards it. Or it's not as harsh as that. They wanted more. They just wanted so much out of their life. They're very frustrated. They're very frustrated with you because actually they feel like you never pushed things as hard as you should have, even though I am here to say that it's not your responsibility. You were actually very open with them. You did not have that problem. They just wanted you to see things that they were trying to hide. And I really do think that this person is telling me, like, I'm kind of an unevolved person, honestly. Like, I'm getting there, but I'm not quite there yet. You're a little bit ahead of me in that sphere, even though we're on a lot of similar levels, like intellectually and a lot of other ways. There's a lot of ways that they're not at yet and they could have never gotten to in this lifetime. And I keep on losing my train of thought. I keep on getting distracted. It's like I keep on getting too close to something, and then Sagittarius in the 3rd house, they're like distracting me, putting me somewhere else, showing me something else, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's like that's why I feel like I can never get to the 10 of Pentacles. I'm stuck at the 7. Like, I'm getting somewhere, but I'm never completing the cycle of for some reason. There's a lot of pain and a lot of like feelings of things that have been left unsaid, feeling that this relationship wasn't able to be finished, wasn't able to be completed because this person kept on getting distracted. Honestly, like I just did. So in the present, I think this is not the present, but this is like the present of their passing is kind of how I'm reading it, if that makes sense. Like, the past was like when they were there with you. The present card is like the time of their passing, and then the future card is like what's happening after they pass. So we have Justice reversed. So this 7 of Pentacles thing is actually a really big sore spot for them. Like, the fact that they could never get to this 10, they could never get to this feeling of completion, of full happiness and full satisfaction. They felt like something was taken from them, and it was really unjust and all that kind of stuff. They're kind of wanting to come on this reading to just kind of vent a little bit, honestly, because they feel like nobody ever heard them, nobody ever validated them, nobody ever understood how much they really wanted for themselves and their family and their life, and nobody understood where that was coming from. And so they're really wanting you to hear their true intentions, and that they were always really positive, but they just could not get it to manifest, kind of situation. And I think a part of it was like they didn't want it to fully manifest because they had like imposter syndrome, or they felt like they weren't good enough. They could never fully focus on one thing. They were too distracted. They couldn't set their eyes on one goal. They wanted a bunch of different goals at a bunch of different times. But they did always know that they loved you so much. Let me check the, so underneath this, I used the Abandon Oracle, because there are definitely some feelings of abandonment coming up in this reading. You feel very abandoned by them, and they feel like they abandoned themselves. They feel like they abandoned their life here. Let me just read. So you actually got the first card in the Abandoned Oracle, the Infant, which is just basically like the the child, the baby left on the doorstep. However, yeah, this is the first card. However, when things are reversed, I usually see that as the positive side of the card, because these cards are pretty negative upright. So when it's reversed, it's the more positive side. So I'll read you this card. A helpless infant waits for its mother under the glow of a random light post. Unfortunately, it seems that no one is coming home. So I definitely, like I said, you definitely have feelings like that person's never going to come home, and that's really hard for you. And I think they were there for a really long time of your life, but it still feels like they were just taken away too soon. So the reverse meaning is a problem that has an elusive solution, something lost that will be hard to find. So I'm also taking the reverse meaning also as the opposite of abandonment and neglect, that while they were here, they actually took really, really good care of you, and they were always there for you in a way that nobody ever could be. And that's also something that you really miss, is that being taken care of, being understood, being heard in a way that nobody ever does. Like, nobody cares to hear you talk about stories and hear you talk about jokes and, here to tell, that nobody wants to hear about your life anymore, you feel like, in the way that they did. Or maybe you just don't care about you don't care to tell people about your life because it's not them. You just want to tell them. You want to tell them everything. And they loved hearing it genuinely. Like, they loved being there for you. There was no want to abandon you at all. They're saying they didn't want to abandon you, but they did want to abandon and run away from themselves. Now, it did say also, what was it? Something lost that will be hard to find. So this person, I think, is very irreplaceable. And I think that you feel like this person is really not around anymore. Like, they've really left. And I think a part of them has, unfortunately, because they've kind of actually, I think, moved. It's really sad to say, because I know you're having trouble hearing this, which is why I'm crying. But I think they have actually moved on to a new life, because they were ready. They were there with you for a while, but it's like they were ready to take that new life with like open arms and a lot of love, and they just felt like there was no way to be with you at such an unevolved level, that they want to be in your life now in a more evolved level. If you have a child, if you've had a child, this really might be a child with their soul in them. Or if you want to have a child, maybe they haven't moved on quite yet, but they will. Part of me thinks that some of them haven't moved on quite yet, but they will. And I think that when they will, I think this might be your child. Or like, if this is a partner and you have a kid with them, like their soul lives on in your kid with them. Or if you're about to have a kid and they're like a family member or a sibling, their soul will live on in that child. Like, or if there's a child around you, like if you have a family, like a sibling with a child, or someone like a friend with a child, you should be in that child's life. That child is around you for a reason, and it's because that they hold a piece of this person in them, and it's going to be a very different relationship than the one that you guys had, but in their mind it'll be better and a more evolved relationship. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't think matters, but what does matter is that they're happier, and they're happier in this new situation and this new life. And I'm kind of wanting to roll my eyes at them for judging themselves so much on this unevolved being. It sounds like they're very aware. Like, what do you mean? But they're happier, and I think that's what matters. They felt very stuck, and they felt like they were never going to find their way. So now we have the 9 of Cups reversed, which I actually see as a little bit more positive than the traditional 9 of Cups. I think that they honestly didn't expect that death really did mean starting over. I think that they thought it meant picking up where you left off, but they're realizing, I think now, and you might be realizing this now, how much more successful they were and how much better off they were in life than they thought they were and you thought that they were. And that Seven of Pentacles is actually something that most people don't even reach. And if they were to get to the Eight of Pentacles, then that would just breed complacency. And that's something that they would have never, ever wanted in their life. This is a very painful pile because I do kind of want to say that there's a lot that they didn't understand about life, even though they spent so much time trying to understand it. This is coming from somebody who doesn't understand anything about life, so I'm not going to pretend I know everything. These are just like messages that are coming through, that's all. But I think in this next life, they're going to realize how peaceful that they had it with you. And there's not going to be as much peace with you in this next life as there was in the previous life. But they asked for that, but they didn't understand what that meant. So let me get a card of advice. Because I'm going to be honest with you, they're still going through their own stuff. Like, you have kind of been the rock for them this entire time, and it's almost kind of like you're still being the rock for them even now. And I think their passing was painful because their body almost like it was like their body didn't want to go but their mind did, or their mind wanted to go but their body didn't. Yeah, it's like something was not aligned. Like, they were super healthy but then they could not get their mental health together, or they were of super ill health but their mental health was really positive. I got the literal death card. So it's saying that you can't, the message that they want you to know is like, you can't dwell on me as much anymore. I'm not this like ultra perfect being that you thought I was. I think that you came into this reading because there's so much love for this person, like an overwhelming amount of loss, grief, heartbreak, love, passion, respect, all that kind of stuff. Just nothing but positive things for them. That's how you felt towards them. It was like, I'm still losing my thought. It's like that Sagittarius in the third house. It's like jumbling. Even though there's so much like love for them and all that kind of stuff. What was I going to say? Oh, it's just that like they're not, I guess I'm trying to say is like this is a less positive reading than you expected. It's a lot harsher of a reading than you expected, but they wanted that reality check for you. The Eight of Swords. You do not want to hear this though. This was not the reading that you wanted, but this is the reading that they really wanted to give you because they feel like, just like they needed a reality check with life, at like the happiness that they had built. And that's kind of what this next life is going to kind of bring them, is a lot more gratitude. It's like you guys are both wanting to remain blind and ignorant to something still, especially you. And they keep on distracting me. They keep on changing my thought, changing my mind about things, like making me kind of go all over the place. So maybe this loss has really made you feel unstable and made you, well, obviously every loss has been made everyone feel unstable, but I think that this has affected your security and stability at like a core level, maybe even a financial level, maybe even like at a level of like, now do you not have a home? Do you not have a place to live? All that kind of stuff. But they're really talky. They want me to keep pulling cards. This is a much more tarot focused reading than normal. We have the Queen of Pentacles reversed. So now this is some advice for you, and they're wanting to say that you're almost there. Like, you're really so much closer than you think, and it's been a lot harder for you and you've worked really hard, and that you're actually past the point that even though they might have seen more commercial success than you, you're in a knowledge and understanding of your craft, of your place in this world, whatever it might be. You're in a much farther place than them, in a much farther place than you think. You just have to accept it, or accept the abundance, or maybe even just accept being alone. Accept being without them, and then you can fully embrace your queendom, male or female. All right, so they're telling me that there's like two paths, but neither of them are negative. They're both really positive, and it's just up to you, because this is some advice that they want to give to you, because they can. I feel like they can see your future, whether that's literally or not. It's like they just maybe understand things more, so they understand where you're going. So both paths lead to a very similar place. So, okay, I apologize. I just realized that my mic was out of batteries, and so that happened in the middle of the last one. I had to use my iPhone audio, which I am just glad that I still have this iPhone audio, honestly. But it makes me feel like to further emphasize the point that they did not want you to hear this, or that it's almost like instead of them trying to have you find this reading, you really found it yourself, and almost like you found it despite them, you know, not wanting you to find it, not wanting you to hear these things, because it's like these are things that they're not able to accept, and these are things that they never wanted you to hear. Maybe they even sheltered you from hearing. Maybe this is a relationship with a bit of an age gap, whether it's a parent, you know, that obviously has a big age difference, you know, maybe whether it's like a child and a parent, obviously that's a big age difference, or siblings with like a big age difference, and this was like your older sibling that always felt like a mentor to you, or this is a romantic relationship and then, you know, the other person was a lot older than you or more mature than you. Whatever it was, they always wanted to seem like they were more mature than you, and they felt like they had to come across that way, and they felt like they had to always do that. So to admit that they made mistakes during this lifetime, and that they have regrets, or that they feel like they could have learned a lot from you, but they were scared to, or whatever it might be, they just feel really bad about it, and they kind of don't want you to hear it, but you need to hear it, and they need to come with acceptance of it. So with the tarot, on the other way, we have here the Three of Pentacles reversed, which is saying kind of like you need to go at this world a little bit more alone now, and that's okay. You don't need actually anybody's help like you thought you did. You don't need all this support like you thought you did, and that it was actually hindering you rather than helping you. For most people, groups and community and all that stuff, or maybe even like a family or blah blah blah, whatever it might be, helps them a lot. They need that. But you, I think that hinders you more, because it's what stopped you from getting to that Queen of Pentacles upright, is having actually people around you. Not saying that you can't have anybody around you or this and that, but just saying like it's more about with work. You don't need to work with anybody else. There's no reason to. And maybe you guys had something to do with jobs, career with each other, and they were actually holding you back from what you really wanted and needed to do. And then if you just kind of go your own way here, we have the Magician. You'll find your light, you'll find your sparkle, you'll be able to communicate with them whenever you want, and it won't feel like they're gone. I think that's the lesson that you need to learn throughout their passing, is that if you channel your inner self, if you channel your inner magician, that you'll be able to communicate with them with ease and better and more honestly and more truly than you were able to with them in real life, because they always had some sort of wall up, and they definitely projected that wall onto you and almost like made that wall happen with you, when I don't think you actually have one. I think you're a very accepting, welcoming, listening person, and I think you have a lot of power, a lot of ability to manifest the things that you want to, a lot of ability to stand alone and be proud and loud and tall and bold and brash, whatever it might be, and anybody else that's around you is just there to dim your light, to use you, and you really don't need that, because you don't need anybody else. They really can't give you anything. They can't serve you. And that might have even been a little bit of the inferiority that this person had, feeling like you didn't need them when you really did. Well, you don't need anyone, but you really wanted them. And that's what they couldn't understand, is that you wanted them to be around. You liked them, and you enjoyed having them, and it felt like a little gift having them around. But no, you don't need them around. You don't need anybody around. But maybe they felt insecure because they needed you. All right, then we have the other way. We have the Tower. So if you don't decide to go alone, then you'll be widely, widely misunderstood. You'll be sorry, man. You're gonna go through it. You're gonna have to go through this again, this Tower moment again, which I think you've already been through, you've already gone through. But there's something that needs to break. There's something that needs to change again. And if you don't accept that, well, you're going to. You're going to accept that. This reading is just to tell you to prepare for that. And what will come of it is a victory, the Six of Wands. A victory, a celebration, a feeling of confidence, a feeling of ego. So let's turn the Queen of Pentacles upright, because we have three very, very positive cards going on here at the end, like where you're supposed to be here, and kind of like who you are here, and where you're going to end up. I think that these cards actually do all go together, and they're all here for a reason. And then these are the cards that are stopping you. You not accepting some truth, and you trying to busy yourself and be around people that you don't need. Let me see. This was a really interesting reading and kind of unexpected. They've both been unexpected though. Let's check in a little bit with your body before we go. There's a lot of weight in your heart and in your solar plexus. You feel like you'll never know somebody else like them, and nobody will ever know you like them. And when they passed, it feels like so many of your memories passed as well. And that's so hard. And I will say, if this sounds selfish, death is for the living, okay? End all be all. So grief is a selfish thing. You go through it alone. You're going through it because of your hurt feelings, your hurt pain. Not that we don't feel that pain of that other person, because that's a lot of it. But we feel that pain because we care about that person, we love that person, and we want the best for them. We want the best for ourselves. So kind of rebuilding your heart, rebuilding your confidence, rebuilding your sense of self without them. It's like, because you can't see yourself without them. And that's what's really hard. So it's not like necessarily there's anything wrong with these two chakras. I think that your chakras are good. These two chakras are actually healthy in yourself. It's just that that's what's feeling a little offbeat. That's what it's feeling a little bit off when it comes to this topic. So to end this, let's get a little message from them, a little final message. And they said, no one will ever love you like you love you. At first, I read it as nobody will ever love you like I love you. And I think that's true as well. But you have to remember that this person is gone, and you can't keep putting them first, and that you need to put yourself first. Yeah. All right, thank you so much for watching. Sorry about the sound issue. I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that it resonated. Let me just kind of give you some last little bits of this Venus oil here. I think your energy is really good. I think you're a beautiful person. I think you're a very evolved person. I don't think it was that necessary. I think you just needed to hear from them more than anything with this situation. If you'd like a full-length reading from me, I do offer them at shainaemily.com. But thank you just for being here, for watching this, for supporting me here, all that kind of stuff. I wish you the best. I know I can just feel how heavy your heart is, truly. But I think that this reading has come to a close. So I really wish you the best. You've got a lot of good things coming. You just have to keep holding out. Go through the pain, go right through it. Don't avoid it, don't go around it, just trudge right through it like thick mud, because that's the only way you're gonna get out of it, you know? All right, thank you for watching. And also, healing is not linear. All right, thank you for watching. Bye, pile 2. All right, hello and welcome, pile 3. So I actually already kind of got the tone for this reading just while, you know, setting it up and taking the other one down. It became very obvious to me that this is actually the group that is dealing with grief because they don't feel bad about this person being gone, or they've moved on already, or they're happy that this person's gone, or for some reason, maybe they feel like a weight has been lifted because this person's been gone and they don't really know how to handle it. Whatever it is, it's like you're not feeling the traditional grief, and you're not sure how to feel about yourself because of it. You're not sure how to handle it because of it. And you're almost like wanting this to be a catty reading so it can like reaffirm those feelings that you have about this person, or maybe you're scared to admit how much you really do care about this person, or you know, just maybe you don't even want to admit how much resentment you have towards this person, or maybe you feel guilty about this relationship and how it ended for some reason. Whatever it is, maybe it's not that heavy, like, you know, maybe it's just more like you're lighter because this person's gone for whatever reason. And that's really weird. That's really hard for you to wrap your head around. And that's almost like what needs to heal. So I'm going to say right away, if that doesn't resonate with you at all, if you're like, that's painful to hear, that doesn't resonate, this is not the pile for you. Either one of the other two piles are for you, or this reading, this video is not for you at all. But I feel that really, really strong, especially because of the fact, I didn't even realize this before I set it up, but this is the Jupiter oil. You got the Jupiter planetary oil, so it's almost like you know what it also could be? Your life has been better since they've been gone, and you really miss them, and you almost feel bad about that, and you're almost like scared to admit that. You don't want to admit that a little bit because that feels terrible. It gives me even like a little bit of that Jeanette McCurdy vibe of like, I'm glad my mom died. Maybe it's not that severe, like that, like hated and extreme. Maybe it's not, maybe it's not that much strong of a tone, but that kind of idea, that kind of concept. So we have some planetary die. Well, this is technically, it goes up to 12. It represents the 12 houses in astrology. And I have, you know, some horary astrology going on here. So basically, the chart of the sky right now, and whatever house this lands on is kind of the house of the theme of what's kind of going on with this grief and this kind of stuff. The second house. So we have the second house just has Scorpio in it, which is interesting because there's like so many planets in all the other houses. It's like there's so much stuff going on in all the other houses, and this is also quite an empty house. It just has Scorpio in it. So I think, you know what, I think you got quite the inheritance from this situation, or your money's been doing better, or you've had more space to call your own, or I think that you actually, either you got a lot out of them being here in resource wise, or you, now that they're gone, you're able to gather more resources. Maybe you're realizing how much of a big financial, almost like weight they were for you or something. Maybe you're able to make money the way that you want now. You know what it is, you know what it might be? It might be that like you don't have, now that this person's gone, you don't have to have this job that you don't want. You get to go after this job that you really care about, and you're making money and what's true to you and the way that you've always wanted to. Oh, today for your pile, I am using the Tarot of Vampires. I'm using all kind of decks I've gotten this year. I studied a lot with this deck. I might have a review up on it. If you want to check that out when I do get it, I'll put it up here. Yeah, mostly because this giant ass book. Maybe you've been able to study a lot. Maybe you've had a lot more time to explore your hobbies and explore your interests, your true interests since this person has passed. Maybe they wanted you to do a certain thing or be a certain way in the world. Maybe they had a lot of strict rules and a lot of strict control over you. And since they've passed, yeah, I just got, this is the Page of Pentacles. But it's, the Prince of Skulls. Which I hate that they changed it. It's really confusing and like for no reason to me. You've been partying as well, I think, since this person's been gone. Maybe Scorpio in the second house and Jupiter, you've been like spending your money kind of like lavishly. Maybe there is quite an inheritance, or like I said, they were spending a lot of your money or something. And whatever it is, you're doing better financially and you're really kind of overindulging and stuff. Like maybe you're going down and really, you know what Scorpio in the second house also does is create a lot of bad habits. Okay, let's talk. So I actually think that this person kept you in check a lot, and I think you hated that. I could totally see this being like a parent or a relationship that felt really strict and felt like they had a lot of control over you and a lot of suppression over you. And since they've passed, and it's not that you don't miss them, because you do, and it's not that you didn't love them, because you do, but since they've passed, you've been like, I can finally just let go and be loose and be free and do what I want. Like maybe you spent all that inheritance money or whatever it may be, and you've been forming a lot of bad habits, and you've realized that you actually did need them to keep you in check. And maybe they're coming to you today because they're like, hey, I know I went too far with this. You know, I know I was like a little Virgo, Scorpio about it, or even like Taurus about it. Like all I cared about was security. All I cared about was you being safe. Maybe they even like Gypsy Rosed you a little bit, you know what I'm trying to say? Gypsy Rose Blanchard, you know, like they kept you too protected for their own sake and stuff. Maybe they have a lot of prominent Scorpio energy in them that's just like, it's not you that I don't trust, it's everyone else. But they kind of like use that as a way to manipulate you. So since then, you've just been kind of going crazy, been going nuts, or you've been kind of doing whatever it is that you want. Like, they're out of my life, I'll cry about it later, because all I can do now is think about how free I am. But that has formed some bad habits, and you started to get, you know what, maybe you haven't been working. Maybe you lost a job, you didn't give a shit about it anymore, you don't need it. I have this inheritance money that you've been spending through. I have this backlog savings, I can just rack up a credit card, it doesn't matter. I've got a bunch of people around me that are rich, they can buy me everything. Fuck you, mom. Even if it wasn't your mom, it's like, fuck you, parents. No parents. Wow, kind of is like the feeling I get, which is odd. But at the bottom of this reading, so I should say I'm reading this all because there's the Three of Cups here. But at the bottom of this reading is Strength reversed. Like I said, Scorpio in the second house creates a lot of bad habits, and you've lost a lot of strength in yourself. You've lost a lot of self-containment. You've lost a lot of an ability to monitor yourself and get through things as well. You don't have your rock anymore. You don't have somebody that you can call and cry to anymore. So instead, you've just been like maybe coping with a bunch of substances or something instead. Like specifically, like this is the Tarot of Vampires, and it's all about like giving yourself over to something completely, succumbing to something completely. So this might be somebody with a very addictive personality. And I think that you started really well on a hobby, you started really well on like creating your new job or creating the path that you wanted, but I don't think it ever progressed past that because you keep getting distracted. And I think you're realizing that maybe you're coming to this reading because you needed them more than you thought you did, and you actually don't know how to regulate yourself as much. But you're also saying, Shaina, I didn't ever get to party. I didn't ever get to indulge. I didn't ever get to enjoy myself. So my God, sue me. Sue me if I'm enjoying myself a little bit more. Or maybe this Ten of Pentacles is saying, like, I can party, I can enjoy myself. Look at all the success I've made. Why am I getting this message? Yeah, I've started some stuff and stopped it. I don't know why you're getting this message, but this is what they're telling me. So maybe you ought to listen to it because maybe you're kind of running yourself into the ground. The Empress reversed. Maybe you're kind of on too much of a high right now. You're not caring for the people around you. You're not aware of the people around you. You're not being connected to that divine feminine energy, that giving, receiving side of you. Like both sides you're not properly in tuned with. Maybe because you're just I think there's a lot of money stuff going on. You're just like, well, why would I ever need to care anymore? I've got it all worked out for me. Maybe this is somebody that was in like an age gap relationship and their person was old and they were just like over them and they're just happy to be free of them. And I think that that's true, but I think they're also trying to tell you like that they were put into your lives for a reason, and that reason is to watch over you, and that reason is to give you some sense of discipline, but they just went too far with it and they're aware of that. But they didn't know how else to do it because you were so far the other way that the only way to give you any sense of discipline or to get you figured out at all was to go extreme. I think there was a lot of sneakiness and a lot of, this is the Seven of Swords, a lot of sneakiness, a lot of manipulation, a lot of sly things going on between your guys' relationship. Like you were always trying to pull one over on each other. And that might be a lot of the reason why is like, you almost like don't trust this message either. You're like, they're just saying that, Shaina, don't listen to them. They're manipulating you just like they manipulated me. And I think that what they're trying to say is that they had to manipulate you because that's the only way that you would listen. That's the only way, like just as much as their way was manipulation and that's how they knew how to interact with people, that's actually your way too. And you guys are really reflecting each other back. And they're telling you that with them gone now, like, they just wish that you had a little bit more grace for them and you were a little bit more thankful for them, and that you would see you would see their real intentions were good. They were just kind of a bad person, but their intentions with you always were positive. I think this person had a really rough life growing up. I think this person had maybe really bad parents that really never taught them how to act, taught them how to be. and that they're almost a little sorry, and that they want you to go to this reading so that you can realize and acknowledge that you need to stop the cycle, and that you need to become aware that a lot of the traits that you didn't like about them, you actually still have, and you're projecting onto other people, and you need to kind of calm down and take a step back, and also realize that your mind and your inhibitions are really kind of out of wonk right now, and that you need to take this reading as a little bit of a reset on how you look at things, a reset on your mind. Like, I almost get a picture of somebody watching this in a very dark, small room at night with their hood over, like being all angsty, being like, oh, should I actually instead watch like a really gossipy, mean-spirited tarot reading, like what they should have said to you but didn't, what they really wanted out of you, or I don't know, I'm trying to think, I don't know, those kinds of, like, those pages with those kind of relationship readings, like they were secretly spying on you, like those kinds of readings, which there's always a time and a place for, but like that's not what you need, because like you looking for that is showing that you're doing the same thing to them. All right, so we got 2 cards from this Oracle of Black Enchantment. And these just kind of have like pictures on them. So this is the first one I got. So this is like the conscious and the unconscious conscious. So let me show you this. I think you feel like you're this person in this relationship. And then this is that person. And this is like, maybe there's a third party, or I'm not sure. Let me see what this says about this deck. The farmer. The hardy farmer plows his field under sunshine and rain. Although the elements provide everything needed for success, the farmer still curses them under his breath. Now, whenever I pick from this deck, the upright are the negative meanings and the reversed are actually positive. So this came up upright, and it says, an ungrateful person, being unappreciative, exploitation, hating one's occupation. So I feel like I'm really in line here. Yeah, I feel like you're begrudgingly doing this job. Maybe this is a coworker or somebody you shared responsibilities with, and they were like always on you, and you just like felt like you were doing all the dirty work. You felt like you were doing all the shitty work, and you were doing all the hard stuff, and they had it really easy. But what you didn't see is when they did all the hard work, and then when they did all the shitty stuff, and what they created and set up for you. And I think you're being a little bit unaware and unappreciative of that. And they're kind of saying like, well, yeah, now you're at a place where you don't have to do the dirty work. You can get somebody else to do it for you. And they're just telling you, like, don't manipulate, like, don't continue the cycle. Like, there's no reason for this person to be here on the ground. All they really needed was this bull or this ox, right? You guys could both, you didn't need to be down there, and they know that. And you don't need to put another person down there, and you know that. But don't be a Scorpio. Don't be a Scorpio in the second house about things. And try to build some more teamwork, some more community or something. There is this little like bird flying by, watching it all. So I think that's their new position, or like that's the positions of ancestors past. I really think this has a lot to do with ancestry. Now that doesn't mean that this is like a parent or somebody in the family. It very much could be, or a sibling. It could be somebody in a relationship, but maybe that person's ancestry is very heavy, or you guys come from a similar background, a similar race, a similar wealth status, or just that plays a big role in it. Like what background you guys did come from plays a big role in it. Maybe you felt like they were in a better position than you, and you felt like you were dragged through the mud a lot. And they're saying now that you're in a better position than most people, or when you get to that point, you don't need to drag people through the mud. Try to be... This loss was to show, I think, what could happen to you. You need to see their passing as a reflection of yours. And if you've ever wanted to attend your own funeral, you kind of did if you went to theirs. And if you didn't, then that's even showing more. Like kind of showing more that people aren't going to want to go to yours if you act like this. So this definitely, I think, has a lot to do with employments and job and work and success in life. So now let's see what's in the subconscious. I'm pretty sure I'm kind of already familiar with this card. I think this is like the card of like stopping something at the root, like stopping something before it gets out of hand, you know, cutting things off before they just keep growing and growing and growing. It's kind of what they're asking you to do. It's funny that these both have to do with manual labor. Like the top one is called the farmer and the bottom one's called the gardener, but they're like at totally different places in the deck. It's like 3 and 28. So I definitely think you guys, and I think the second house is the house of manual labor. And so I think that this had a lot to do with, maybe your job has a lot to do with doing a lot of manual labor, menial labor, labor that you think is below you, something like that. All right, so this is the gardener. A housemaid, tired of the troublesome weeds growing wild in her garden, proceeds to behead them with a quick snip from her pruning shears. And again, this is upright, so it's the darker meaning. Death of one's ideas, cutting someone cutting you down to size, a critical or destructive person. So yeah, I think that it is better that this person is out of your life, because they were just kind of adding a lot of negativity, but you were adding a lot of negativity to theirs. And I think that it's best if you both move on, and I think it's best if after this message, almost like you kind of stop asking about this person or something, because you are saying like, hurrah, I moved on, screw this person, yeah, bye. But you're obviously still very caught up about it. This is healing grief. There's obviously something that still hasn't been healed here. And it's almost like I'm hearing you said, like, I want to take back all those years. Is kind of what I'm hearing. But you need to move on. You need to keep moving forward. And if you just continue the cycle and do the same thing to somebody else, put somebody else in the same position, then you're going to keep reliving that experience again and again and again. It's only going to embitter you more and more and more. And that is not how you find happiness. That is not how you find this Jupiter. Death of one's ideas, someone cutting you down. So death of one's ideas. Maybe this was a loss of like what you thought you were going to do with your life. You know, like I said, Scorpio in the second house can be a death of a job, a death of a lifestyle, something like that. I will say the light meaning is getting rid of problems once and for all, taking responsibility, eliminating negativity. And that's what this death had to do for you. Maybe this isn't a literal person, even though I said this is supposed to be a literal person. Maybe it wasn't, and you're having grief for your past self. Maybe this is grief for your childhood self, something like that. And this death was here to kind of get rid of that, to move past it, to stop living in resentment, stop living in the past, and just kind of take responsibility, say, I played my role just as much as they did theirs, and even though what happened to me was unfair and it wasn't right and they were mean and I didn't deserve that, I stayed or I was around, something like that. And it's time to, like, and it's like this person had to pass to get out of your life so you could get out of this cycle. So just don't get back into it. Let's get a little message from this little booklet. They're laughing. They're like, quick, 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 open it. Negativity does not always result in something negative. That's so weird. They're so, like that, like, yeah, death can be negative. But that doesn't mean that it was a negative experience for you and that this was needed to be a negative experience to you. What's negative is you holding on to it, holding on to those negative feelings. And you don't need to hold on to that negativity that happened. Maybe what's going to come out of it is like you got the second house was in Scorpio, you got the phoenix rising from the ashes. This is the pile that can really become a better person, become a stronger person because of it, grow because of it. If you watch my previous video, I mentioned how I felt like I've just succumbed to it. You know, like I say, like the Bam Margera thing where he just kind of succumbed to the passing of Ryan Dunn. I feel like that really happened to me. I don't think this is you at all. You are able to rise from it, grow from it, become better from it. And it was really, I think, the best thing for you. Let me do some automatic writing. Let's see. It's almost like they want to tell you what they actually think of you. And they want to name a few really positive things about you. The first thing is that they wanted to tell you that you're beautiful. And not, oh, you're beautiful on the inside and the outside, that you're beautiful on the outside specifically. I think this person cut you down a lot, spewed a lot of negativity on what you look like physically, made you said you're not worthy of a good relationship, you're not worthy of being beautiful, all that sort of stuff. But they're saying that because they always thought that you were more attractive than them, and they wanted you to feel like how they felt growing up, which is messed up. I kind of see why you're happier without them. So the next thing is, it says you don't need to chase what you've already found. So I think they were always saying that you're not good enough. As I mentioned, you'll never get to this talent or this or that. But you actually were always already there, always on your path. They just, again, they let their insecurities really get the best of them. So next thing, you never lashed out at me like I would at you. And they could never admit that. I think that they were definitely a very reactive, maybe narcissistic, manipulative person. I definitely think this could totally be a narcissistic person that felt like a failure or something. And you never like compromised your sense of self for them. Like, you never did something that I don't think you stood behind. I'm like, yeah, maybe you have regrets, but they all come from not standing up for yourself. But also, I think you were stuck a little bit. I don't think it was fully your choice. Like, maybe they had you stuck because of finances or something. And they just can't believe that you didn't do all the terrible things that they did to you. And that made them almost want to do it to you more, because when they had terrible things done to them as a child, like, that's why they responded to you like they did, was because they're just continuing the cycle. And they almost got mad that you were too good to keep doing that. And so their real self would want you to continue the cycle and wanted to create the cycle in you. But their higher self, their past self, like PASSED, past self, is like, finds that so admirable. And that was kind of why they stayed, because they saw you as uncorruptible. And that was something so precious to them, and something that they'd never seen in anybody else. And that's why they would always come back and apologize and say that they loved you and all that sort of stuff, was because they were like, how do they always accept me still? How do they keep forgiving me? I could never be this strong, and I could never have this kind of love for somebody. Maybe they were a little bit like, is it like sociopathic or maybe they were a little bit psychopathic as well. Maybe even like, I didn't watch you, but maybe it's a little bit like that, even if it's not a relationship. All right, the next one. They said that you're more talented than I am. But they wanted to preface this with, you're not there yet though. And that's because they kept you where you're at on purpose, because they knew that you had more potential than them. They have some problems, dude. I just have to interrupt this to say, I'm so sorry that you went through this. They have some major issues that they need to work out with. They needed to work out within themselves, and they passed without ever working it out in themselves. And you're not going to, though. You're still here because you're going to get past this. You're going to rise above this. But yeah, they're saying that you're not as talented. You're not more talented. You are more talented than them, but you're not at the place they were at yet with whatever it is. And that's just because they didn't let you, but you will be one day. And so just open up to that. And then the last one. They just want to say you're fine. Like, you're actually, like, you're fine. All those things that they claim to be mad at you for, all those things that, like, you say to your friends, like, how does this happen? Am I in the right? Like, they've always known that you're fine. They are just really immature. Really, really immature. And they would have never been open up. Maybe they were open up to tarot readings, but they were delusional. But I couldn't see them being ever open to the truth of the situation. And, they just want to tell you that you're fine. Also that, like, almost like they don't resent you. I don't know why they would resent you, but maybe you feel like they do, but they don't. They actually don't have anything bad to say. Like, I know you wanted bad things, like they think this about you, but they don't have anything bad to say about you. You're fine. But they also kind of don't want, I also kind of want to say, like, they didn't love you in the way that other people love people, because they weren't capable of that. And so if it ever felt like they didn't, it's because they didn't know what that was. Maybe they had some major undiagnosed stuff, is the vibe I'm getting, and they're telling you that something about your diagnoses, like, throw them away. You don't need them. You're fine. When you want to know why you're having trouble, it's because of me. It's because I made you be that way, but you're not that way. So just chill out. And I'm not saying your diagnoses are false or whatever it is, but they're just saying, like, you know, some diagnoses, they have nothing to point to. You've just always been that way. But yours, like, maybe you deal with PTSD. Like, yeah, it's because of them. You though, as a person, you're fine. You're a good person. You know, we're all weird. We all have our quirks and stuff, but you're fine. Let's do some energy work. Let's check out some chakras. Life has felt really dry without them, though, is the only thing I will say. You're used to a lot more drama. You're really used to a lot of stuff going on. And it's almost like you're searching for that with alcohol, with drugs, with whatever it is, that substance or thing that you're trying to, what am I trying to say, like, replace this person with. You're very tuned in to the higher sense of self, the higher life. You're very tuned into all that stuff. I think your third eye is going to be very open to, yeah. You're very much following your intuition, and you're following your higher intuition, I guess I'll say. Like your more healthy intuition. And that's what found you to this reading, and not another one that's more hate-based. Now, I'm normally very hate-based, and I'm not against hate readings. That's just not what you need right now. Throat. Are you speaking your truth? You're still not. You weren't then, and you aren't now. You're trying to, but you don't know how to do that anymore. So definitely your throat needs to be healed. And I think that that's something, maybe you need to write, get your creativity back, get your expression back, and then the throat chakra will come. Now let's see about your heart. Now your heart has always been extraordinarily open, like really, really, really open. But they kind of closed it a little bit, and they say, you know what's gross is they say, sorry. What's their fucking problem? But your heart still remains open, and that's why they still have that sense of immaturity in them. Sorry, because they know that even though they tried to close your heart so much, it's still not closed. You still want love, are open to love, and accept love, and love. In whatever form or way, you know what I'm talking about. All right, solar plexus. It's really aligned right now, but I think that's only because of this reading, actually. Not only, but I should say, like, especially because of what you heard right now, is you also feel like it's aligned, where you weren't sure before. You felt kind of guilty about feeling as Jupiterian about it as you did. Sacral. That's also really open as well. You're very connected to your creativity, your sexuality now, because they're gone. Maybe it's a little bit too open, actually. I would have to say that this chakra is too open, and you could use, what the fuck? And you can use some discipline. You're accepting everyone and everything in, and it's making you lose some self-respect. Because you just feel like you have an overabundance now, and you don't know what to do with it. So it needs to be channeled a little bit, I guess, more properly. And the root chakra. How's your base? How's your stability? That's good. I thought it would be a little bit more out of whack. Maybe you found your base. Maybe you found your stability since this person's been gone. And you found, it seems like you're in good health, actually. You're just scared to speak about your feelings on this situation, your true feelings about the situation. I feel like you feel like it's really taboo to admit the things that you feel towards this person and towards this loss, towards this death. And that's what's keeping your throat chakra locked up. Like maybe if you went to their funeral or you went to their passing celebration of life thing, I feel like they would have a very traditional funeral. Maybe you either didn't speak or you said things that you didn't feel or you didn't get out what you wanted to say. I felt like you maybe didn't speak. Let's do some, there's something I want to do here. Just to close it up, I just need to figure out what it is. Let's just do some cleansing spray. Let's just cleanse you of this person, cleanse you of this negativity, and bring in something more positive, a more positive way of life. Reset your way of life. Bring in good smells, good love, good things that you enjoy, and indulge in things that you actually enjoy and are true to your heart and will feed your mind, body, and soul, and not just your coping mechanism, you know, and not just feed your coping mechanism, I mean. Let's get one final card, actually, just from, let's just do this Rider-Waite deck. The Two of Wands, yeah. Life is your oyster. What has it got for you? What has it got in store for you? Now is the time to ponder that and think. If there hasn't been a change in employment or job or the way you earn your money, maybe there should be. But yes, thank you for opening yourself up to this reading. Thank you for being here, for supporting me, and for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you would like a full-length reading, I offer them at shainaemily.com, but just thank you for watching this and for being here on my page and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, all right, I truly wish you the best. I truly wish you the best in healing this and getting past it and through it or whatever it might be. There's no way to get past death. It always lives with you. But I guess through it. I wish you the best to get through it. Get through the past, sort through the past, but move forward to a new dawn and a new day. I don't know. All right, now I'm just getting corny and cheesy, but maybe that's a little bit more of what you need. More like cheesy positivity, cheesy corniness, like some ninth house positivity, Jupiter stuff, right? Some like good positive manifestation quotes that this person would have made fun of you for saying. Maybe you do need to go in front of the mirror and say, I'm great, I'm pretty, and I'm lovely, and I'm going to have a good day today. Maybe that is what you need, and you need to stop judging it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Bye.